Well, I was born in a non-Christian family. We were. I was born in Wisconsin. My family would go to Catholic church occasionally on special days, Christmas, Easter, that kind of thing. I was baptized Catholic at a young age, but we, like I said, did not go very often. Probably some of that had to do with the fact that my mom was Lutheran and my dad was Catholic, so there was some issue there. Um, we moved to Georgia when I was really young, and uh, we didn't go to church at all, really. And it really wasn't until my freshman year in high school that I started to go to school, or go to church rather. Um, I was a pretty good kid. I feel like I was didn't really get into much trouble. I was good at staying out of trouble and getting away with things. Hung out with kind of a rough group of kids, rough for elementary, I guess, age. We were pretty bad. We would sneak into houses that were for sale or under construction and just kind of wreak havoc on them. We remember we snuck into the elementary school that we went to school in one time and rollerbladed around the school and that kind of thing. We would um, uh, light neighbors' bushes on fire and stuff like that. Which the whole time, looking back on it, I always wonder like where were our parents because we were in elementary school doing this kind of stuff. Middle school was pretty awful for me. Again, didn't go to church. It was my really awkward chorus years, and it was pretty miserable. Got to high school and started running cross country, and that's where I met a guy by the name of Joe Bentz, who was a really big Christian. He didn't just say that he was a Christian; he really lived it out. He was a Christ follower in every sense of that term. And he invited me to church all the time, and I turned him down all the time because I've had two real experiences with Christianity. One was just it being boring at Catholic church, and two, Christians being crazy. I was stuck at a Pentecostal lock-in, and they just really creeped me out. And so my whole kind of perception of Christianity was either that they were really boring or that they were crazy. And so that's why I kept turning Joe down. But eventually, I like to say that Joe loved me enough not to take my no for an answer. So eventually, just kind of wore down my defenses, and I said yes. And I went to church with him, and just really loved going to that church, and really loved the people. When the doors were open, I was there. After cross country practice, we went to church and took a shower and went to youth. Sunday mornings, I would get up on my own and go drive myself to church. My parents were just kind of, I guess, confused as why I was going, um, but they were fine with me going. Sunday nights, back when we had Sunday night service, I would go Sunday nights as well, um, and just really enjoyed it. Uh, it was during, excuse me, it was during a youth vacation Bible school for high schoolers and middle schoolers that it was a Thursday night that the gospel was presented, and I felt like the Lord was tugging on my heart to come to Him and be saved and experience salvation, and I did. Our youth pastor kind of broke down the gospel one on one with me that night, and I believe that the Lord saved me that night. It was July 19th, 2000. I was baptized that August 5th, and it was great. Just really enjoying uh, my new life in Christ. But unfortunately, I really wasn't discipled after that. And I fell into this kind of lifestyle of living one way at church around my church friends and living another way around my non-church friends. And so at church, I would do church things, and outside of church, we would go to parties and drink. We would get fake IDs and go to clubs, and just really living a completely hypocritical, two-faced life. And at one party that I was at, a girl came up to me, and she was a girl that would actually come to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes with me because I was president of FCA at the time, and she said she was completely drunk when she said this, but she said, "It's hard to take you seriously on Thursdays at FCA when I know what you do on the weekends." And it was at that moment where I started seeing myself as a hypocrite. But it really wasn't enough to knock me out of my hypocrisy. And what really did was I got caught throwing a massive kind of Project X kind of party at my dad's house and got caught for that. And it was at that moment where I realized I've either got to be all in for Jesus or not at all. And I was being discipled finally by my pastor and going to Mercer's Wesley House, the college ministry of the Methodist Church, and um, growing. I wasn't able to go to UGA because my grades were so bad in high school because of partying and that kind of thing, and so I had to go to Macon State, and it was a good thing to be there because I was able to stay close to home and be discipled by my pastor and go to these college ministries. And eventually, I was able to go to Liberty University of Virginia, and get a 4-year degree from there, and just in a great Christian environment that really challenged me to grow in my faith and was really formative in terms of my walk with the Lord, and it's really given me a passion for living for Him in any avenue of life that I find myself in, and has given me a passion to minister to students as a teacher. And I really do believe that that's kind of where the Lord has brought me to, is that I am a youth pastor, just really in the context of a school. And my life has not been perfect since really committing my life to Him in a more serious way. There's been a lot of issues with my family. My mom's struggle with bipolar disorder, and the repercussions of that and how difficult that's been. But the Lord has been very faithful to me in the midst of my hypocrisy, in the midst of my sin. He still remained very faithful and loving and kind and good to me, and has allowed me to marry an amazing woman of God, and now I'm able to do life with her. And He's good. He's very good, and that's something that I have to remind myself every day, which helps me in my walk with the Lord, is that I am God's child. I am His son, and my Father is good. He loves me, and He's sovereign, and because of that, I can trust Him.